Welcome back to my channel. We will be making this sweater today. Leave a comment for questions or suggestions. Love. The total length of the sweater is about 16 inches. The arm length from shoulder is about 10 inches. And from the neckline, arm is about 14 inches long. The chest size is about 12 inches. This is where we finished off in part 1. In total, I made 12 of these flower squares. Now we will start with the part 2. We will start by joining the flower squares together just like this one panel here. So trick to join these is to make sure to align the corners first. So let's join these squares together. Thread some yarn. As we are starting from here, so just make a knot anywhere here in this corner. Insert the needle into one of these stitches. Then make a knot. Then just go back and forth to hide and secure the tail. We will secure the tail and bring the working yarn close to the corner. So now make sure to align the squares from corner to corner. On each of these squares, we have 2 chains at each corner. Insert the needle from the back or the wrong side through the chain space. Then insert the needle from the right side or the top side of second square using the invisible join method. Means inserting the needle in between the front loop and the back loop. After the first stitch, make sure both the squares align. Then join by going in between the front and back loop of both pieces. In between front and back loop invisible join method. After doing few stitches, hold both pieces from corners and pull the yarn tail to join. Then just keep repeating the pattern to join the squares until the other end. We are almost at the other end of these squares. Pull the yarn tail to complete the joining of squares. Now for the last stitch, insert the needle from top to the bottom of the square as shown. Then turn around. On the wrong side, make a couple of knots to secure the yarn. Then weave in the extra ends. This is how it's looking after joining the two squares. I have already joined the other panels for the cardigan. Each panel has 3 squares joined together. I will finish this last square with the same method and then we will join the panels together. Now let's join these panels together with the same method that we used for the squares. Thread the yarn. Start from the close to the corner by making a couple of knots. Then just go over this little yarn tail by going back and forth. Now align both the pieces together to see where these two meet, to get our starting point. So on the corner here where we have to change space, insert the needle from the back to the top of one piece by aligning with the second piece where the corner change space is. Insert the needle in between the front loop and the back loop of second piece. As you see, these pieces align, so we can proceed further. Now in between the front and back loop of the first piece. Then repeat this process of joining until we reach the next square piece of these panels. Remember to pull the yarn tail after a few stitches, rather than doing it all together at the end. Make sure to hold the beginning stitches when pulling. We are at the next square of our panel. So use the very last stitch of the first square and the very first stitch of the second square as shown. Again, the last stitch of first square and the first stitch of second square. Pull the yarn tail to check the middles and make sure to hold onto the beginning stitches. As you see, the middles align with each other and repeat the same thing on all panels. This is the next or the third squares of these panels. So repeat the same thing we did earlier. The very last stitch of one square and the very first stitch of the next square. It might be a little tough because of the middle stitches, but should be okay. Then keep on joining until the very end. After the very last stitch, insert the needle from top to the bottom and turn around to make a couple of knots to secure it. So, a couple of knots to secure the yarn end. Then weave in the extra yarn. This is where we have joined the two panels together. Now let's add the extra width by adding extra rows to the panel's sides here. So let's take one of the pieces here. Insert the crochet hook from one of the corners here into the corner where we have chain space. We will make a cluster of 3 double crochets. So make 3 chains at the corner here and these will count as our very first double crochet for this row. Then 2 double crochets into the same CH space. Then 1 chain, just as we did for the squares. Then into the next CH space, again a cluster of 3 DC and 1 CH. Repeat the pattern and I will see you at the middle here. Into the middle, we are doing just one cluster of 3 DC. So, 2 DC on first square and 1 DC into the second, then 1 CH. Repeat the pattern until the next square. Again, we will repeat the same thing here. 2 DC on one square and 1 DC on the second, or 1 DC on the first and 2 DC on the next. So it just needs to be a cluster of 3 DC together. Then repeat the pattern until the end. At the end, place a cluster of 3 DC again and 1 CH. This is how it looks. If you prefer to be on the same side, you can cut the yarn and repeat the same thing on the next row. Or you can turn around the way I am doing and just start the next row. Place the first DC of this row, either 3 chains or SC, then use the second loop of SC. To place another SC on top to make the first DC, then 1 chain. We are not placing 3 DC here as it will increase the length of this row, which we don't want. So that's why we will start with only 1 DC 1 CH. Then just keep repeating the pattern of 3 DC in the CH space and 1 chain until the other end. Again on this end, we will finish it off with only 1 DC 1 chain at the end. Then cut the yarn and weave in the extra yarn tail. This is how it looks after adding 2 rows. If you need more width, be sure to add more rows. So I have done 2 rows on each side of these panels here. Now we will join the front and back panel together. So we will start from the second square of each panel as the first square. We will leave for the arms. Let's take these pieces together. After the first square on each of these panels, you would see the CH space on both pieces. That's where we will start joining the pieces together. The same method we used for joining the squares and the panels. So insert the needle at the bottom to make a couple of knots to secure the yarn. Then align the pieces together. Insert the needle from the back to the top of one piece. Then in between the front loop and the back loop of the second piece. Remember, we are starting from the second square as we left the first one for the arms. Then just keep repeating the pattern. Make sure to pull the yarn tail after a few stitches and to hold onto the beginning stitches while pulling the yarn. Always hold on to the beginning stitches while pulling the yarn tail. Repeat the pattern until the end. After the very last stitch, pull the yarn tail. Then insert the needle from the top to the back of the piece. Turn around. Make a couple of knots to secure the yarn tail. Then weave in the extra yarn tail. Then join the other side the same way, leaving first square for the arms. This is how it looks after joining both the panels together, leaving the arm space. Let's join the shoulders by leaving space for the neck. So I am going to use the 4 chain spaces to add an extra row at the shoulders. Depending upon your size and neckline space, you could add more or less rows. Let's start from the corner here. Make 3 chains, which will count as our very first double crochet. Then 2 more DC into the same space to create a cluster of 3 DC. Then 1 chain before the next cluster. Then we are going directly into this corner space here for our next cluster. The third cluster of 3 DC, 1 CH. Then the fourth or the very last one for me. Then keep a very long tail of yarn as we will use this for sewing the shoulders. Cut the yarn and pull the tail out. Then repeat the same thing on the other side as well. So for clusters, just like this one, so start with 3 chains and these will count as the first DC. then second and third DC to make a cluster of 3. Repeat it until the other end, so 4 clusters in total. After making the clusters, let's join the shoulders together. Thread the needle. We will align the clusters on both pieces and then join them together here. So first turn it upside down. So align them together and start stitching. We are going to use the back loop of one piece and front loop of the second piece to join the shoulders the easiest way. We are using this method here because we have some open DC stitches at the end, as it would be hard to do invisible street. Front loop of one piece and back loop of second piece. At the end, use the double crochet loops to join. To keep it more secure, use both loops on both pieces for the very last stitches. So use both loops at the very end. Then make a couple of knots at the end and weave in the extra yarn tail. I will show you how it looks. Here, we had to use the 1 DC loops to join. Again, just to show you, these were the loops I used while joining for the DC. Then, repeat on the other shoulder. This is after joining the shoulders on both sides. These are the armholes. Here is the neck space where we will add a little border. Let's add the arms starting here. Take the yarn and insert the hook into the CH space as shown, the one behind the middle. Make 3 chains to start. These will count as our very first double crochet. In total, we will place 4 double crochet clusters into each CH space with no chains in between. For DC clusters, no chains. Then for the middle, place to DC on one side and the other to DC on the other side, total of 4 double crochet. Then keep repeating the crocheting for DC in each ZH space. Then at the middle here, again place for DC in this shown space here. For DC, no chains. Then keep repeating until the end. Here, make a slip stitch with the second double crochet to join the round. Then, I am going to flip this side to start the next row. If you prefer, you can start on the same side. So ASCM then 1 chain, which will count as our first DC for this round. Then, just repeat the pattern for DC cluster in each space, without any chains in between. Then, repeat the pattern until the end and I will show you how it looks. With flipping the sides, it gives a little nicer look. That's just what I think. I will finish a few more rounds and will show you the look. You can adjust these rounds accordingly. I have done 12 rounds of 4 DC clusters. I have finished one side completely. This is where we will start for our other arm. Join the round with a slip stitch. We are going to crochet 1 DC into each of these stitches, so 1 double crochet in each streak. So single crochet and 1 chain. This will be our very first double crochet. So just 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I am doing 4 rounds of double crochets. Join each round with a slip stitch. Again, I am going to switch the sides. This is just my personal choice. If you prefer, you can just keep repeating the pattern without switching the side smiley face. I will finish the double crochet rounds and see you after. So I have 4 rounds just like on the other arm. Join with a slip stitch and make one chain does not count as any stitch. We will be doing some decreasing in this round. First, make one single crochet then one decrease. Decrease is changing two stitches into one. For the decrease, insert the crochet hook into the stitch, yarn over. Then directly into the next stitch and yarn over. You will have 3 loops on the hook. Now yarn over and pull through all. Then, again one single crochet and one decrease. Repeat this pattern of one SC, one deck, until the end. The very last stitch, which is the decrease, at the end of this round. Then make one slip stitch to join the round. Now it will only be one single crochet in each stitch until the end of this round. One SC in each stitch and I will see you at the end of the round. Join the round with a slip stitch. Now we will start with the cuff pattern. So one single crochet. Then one front post single crochet of PSC. Again, one single crochet, then one front post single crochet. I will also show you in a more slower way just in case. Insert the hook from the front to the back, around the post, then around the stitch and from the back to the front. Around the single crochet to bring it forward. Then keep repeating the pattern for the whole cuff. One single crochet, one front post single crochet. This is the very last stitch for this round. Do not make a slip stitch. Just work continuously from this round forward. Directly first stitch of the next round, which is regular single crochet, mark this stitch. Then, just repeat the pattern, single crochet on top of single crochet. Front post single crochet on top of the previous round's front post single crochet. Just like the other completed arm I will be making. Total 7 rounds of this pattern. You can adjust according to your size's smiley face. This is just the halfway through video for the cuff, to show you after a few rounds. Remove the stitch marker and cut the extra yarn tail. Pull the tail out. Thread the needle. Then skip the one stitch on the left and insert the needle into the second stitch. Now insert from the front in between the front and back loop of the current stitch on the right side. This will give an invisible finish for the cuff. Secure the yarn tail at the back, make a couple of knots and weave in. This is how both the completed arms look with beautiful cuffs. Now let's add the little border at the bottom of the cardigan as well. We are going to start from the sides here. You can choose any side. Take the yarn, insert the crochet hook into the stitch, make a loop. Make one chain and then just one single crochet in each stitch for the whole round. Into this corner CH space, one single crochet. Then we have these double crochet spaces. Into each of these spaces, we will place 3 single crochets to cover that. Again, a line double crochet, so 3 single crochets to cover that. A little hard to get into this one, but you know it ... 3 SC. Just 1 single crochet pattern in each stitch for this first round, for the bottom border. Keep repeating this pattern until the end of the round. I will see you back here in the middle. So the same thing, a laid down double crochet. And for that we will make 3 single crochets to cover. Just keep repeating the same pattern. We are at the end of the first round. Finish it by making a slip stitch to the first S. Now for the second round, just make 1 slip stitch in each stitch. Try not to do it too tight, so keep these stitches a little loose. Just keep repeating the slip stitch for the round 2, and I will see you at the end here. Also, mark your first slip stitch for this round to find it easily later. This is almost the end of this second round. So for this very last stitch as shown, pull the loop from the back with your crochet hook. Just like that, pull it from back side. Now insert the hook from the front. In between these loops, take this last loop and over on the hook. Pull the yarn tail to tighten it. Now yarn over and pull the yarn through the loops and make one chain. Now make one single crochet in each stitch through these back loops only. Just like that. So one SC in each stitch for this whole round in the back loops. These back loops. Keep repeating this pattern for the whole round and I will see you back here. To finish this round off, make a slip stitch with the second single crochet on the left. So from now on, just keep repeating the round 2 and round 3 until your desired width for the border. Again, for easier access to first slip stitch, you can mark it with a marker. So just repeat this pattern of round 2 of slip stitch and round 3 of SC in back loops. I will see you at the very end here. So in total I did 6 rounds. That means I finished it off with a round of slip stitches. Let's make the very last slip stitch and then we will finish off with invisible join. Cut the yarn tail a little extra. Pull the tail out. Thread the needle. Insert the needle into the second stitch on the left, only through the front loops. Front loops of the second stitch on the left. Then insert into the current working stitch on the right as shown. As you see, it gives beautiful, nice finish. At the back, make a couple of knots to secure the yarn tail and weave in the ends. Now let's do a little border for the next space as well. We will be doing the same pattern as this bottom border pattern. So, start anywhere. Then make one chain to start. So, the exact same thing, one single crochet in each stitch. Here, I am just weaving in this yarn tail as well. One SC in each set. Repeat the same process, one chain space, so one single crochet to cover that. Here, 3 single crochets to cover the one laid down double crochet. So, repeat the one single crochet pattern in each stitch. We are at the end of this round. Finish it off with one slip stitch. This is how it turned out after one round. Now the same thing as we did for bottom border. One slip stitch in each of the round one stitch. Repeat this until the end here. That's it for the neck space, but if you prefer, you can add more rounds as well. Now cut the extra yarn tail. Pull this loop out. Thread the needle. Insert the needle in the front both loops of second stitch on the left. Then through the stitch on the right in between the front and back loop. We have got some nice, smooth finish. Now make a couple of knots to secure the yarn and weave in the ends. I really hope you enjoyed making this sweater. Questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below. The beautiful border. The arms. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate all the support.